What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. We are carrying it on with our score predictions immediately after the midweek madness we have had within the championship. Some incredible results in those midweek games, which I will be discussing in my videos alongside of me predicting the next 12 championship games. The first championship game for this weekend kicks off tomorrow as of recording, so we've got to make things moving so we don't miss any of these games. So guys, make sure you continue to comment your thoughts of the season in the comments down below, and if you guys want to be involved in the Lexalexus Football Prediction League, please feel free to leave your score predictions in the comments down below as well. If you guys enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. It really does help, and please share the channel too. All three of these things are free to do, and they really do help. Keep your eyes out that I might be in the key word, do a live stream. It's not certain yet, but I am certainly trying to find the time to do it. But without any further ado, let's start predicting week 12 now for the championship. We kick this off with Portsmouth going up against Sheffield Wednesday. Portsmouth going into this weekend after having some optimism for beating Queen's Park Rangers. They got shot back down to earth, losing 2-0 to Cardiff City in the end. Cardiff taking a pretty quick 2-goal advantage against them, and ultimately Portsmouth just couldn't rally forward to get a recovery, and it means they do sit rock bottom currently in the championship. But they're chasing a Sheffield Wednesday side who are not a million miles ahead of them. They're only 4 points clear of this Portsmouth side. They are going into this weekend after drawing against Swansea, a result where not the worst result in the world, but certainly not one that they will want to write home about. It was the only 0-0 draw, actually, I believe, regarding all of the midweek games, alongside with Blackburn's game 2 with West Brom. So I do find Sheffield Wednesday are going to be wanting to pick up some more points as soon as they can, just at the risk that they could be dragged down into the relegation picture if they don't improve otherwise. Portsmouth are still looking for their first home win of the season. Of course, they only won that one away game. But Sheffield Wednesday certainly have picked up more crucial results and have picked up some more eye-catching results. But with a prediction here, you're looking at the Portsmouth side where they could be going to this game trying to right the wrongs that they showed against Cardiff, knowing a win here could potentially get them outside of the bottom 3. So they'd definitely be wanting to try and get a good result here. But Sheffield Wednesday know full well if they get a win, they will increase their lead from Portsmouth for up to 7 points, which at this stage is quite a healthy gap to have. A prediction, however, I'm going to predict it's going to be an unhelpful 1-1 draw between these two sides. I could very much see Portsmouth actually taking the lead in this game, but it could be a scenario where Sheffield Wednesday rally forward and they sneak an equaliser through and it ends as a draw. But let me know what you think, guys, in the comments down below. Now we're past Friday's game, let's now go on to the first couple of early kickoffs. So Bristol City and Leeds United is the first one I'm going to be discussing here. Both of these sides stringing some decent results along their past couple of game weeks or so. Bristol City certainly caught my eye, managing to complete a 2-goal comeback against Stoke City, I believe. So they did a really good job, actually, for managing to claw it back. Nahki Wells being the difference for Bristol City to get the 2 goals for them there, and to have that bounce back ability from going behind. They've done really well with that as well. And of course, they picked an eye-catching result against Middlesbrough in their previous encounter too. But they are now back at Ashton Gate, and they're facing a Leeds United side who I've got to say are looking very strong at the moment. They beat Watford in midweek by 2-1. Ramazani was one of the goal scorers. In fact, he scored within the first 5 minutes of that game. But unfortunately, he did go off looking like that he got an injury. So I don't know if that's going to have many implications for Leeds, because they do have an embarrassment of riches in terms of options that they could go towards on their bench, but it is still could be a potential loss for this Leeds side, who are ridiculously talented, especially in the forward line. With a prediction here, I'm a little bit more confident still with the options that Leeds have. Whilst Bristol City, I think, will be very spirited, I think Leeds will just have a bit too many options and there'll just be a bit too much for Bristol City, sadly, for them. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Leeds. I think it'll be tight, but I think Leeds will just about hold out for the win. But let me know what you think in the comments. We spoke about Portsmouth and Sheffield Wednesday needing wins. Well, I would dare say Coventry and Luton will be wanting wins for them at the moment, because they are within the bottom 6 currently in the Championship and both be wanting to have a much better season for what they are proving to have. I mean, this was the playoff final a couple of years ago, and right now they're in the bottom 6 of the Championship within a couple of years. That tells you how quickly things can turn with decisions of transfers and just changes of personnel in backroom staff as well. It's just so many factors can certainly affect a team. With Coventry, they certainly have lost a lot of their talent over the past couple of seasons. They've typically replaced well, but this season they've been struggling quite a fair bit. Their confidence has been really hit, and even though that they do tend to start the season badly, when you have a team low in confidence, it makes it a lot more difficult for this team to naturally improve and to pick up a consistent run of results. Luton have been a very strange one for me, because at times they've been right on it, and I do think, and I do heavily sympathise with the fact that they have got a lot of their star players off injured for an elongated period of the start of this season. They're now returning, and their performances, I have to say, have improved, but they did lose out in their last game against Sunderland, albeit with a couple of dodgy decisions along the way, I would say. But on the whole, it was a very, very close encounter, and Luton have shown me that they can improve their way of play. Coventry certainly are not looking very, very confident after drawing against bottom of the league QPR. With a prediction here, as you know, in terms of these two sides, I think I'm a little bit more confident with Luton Town at the moment. So I might back them for a 2-1 away victory, but honestly, I think it's going to be really, really close actually. But certainly with how they're performing, you would think with Coventry being the home side, they should breeze through this. But when you've got a team, as I said, low in confidence, anything can happen. And I think Luton, with the way that they are slowly improving, I think they will take the game to Coventry. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The last of the early kickoffs is Watford going up against Blackburn Rovers. So both of these sides have picked up a result that maybe they would have felt a bit disappointed with. Watford, they lost in the end to Leeds United, and their form, to be fair, Watford has tumbled down a little bit. It's 2 away defeats in a row. They'll be pleased that they're back at Vicarage Road, because their last 2 wins in their last 6 matches have all come at Vicarage Road with a 2-1 scoreline. Against some good teams as well, Middlesbrough being one of those sides. Blackburn have finally lost out their 100% home streak. I can't believe it, but they still managed to keep a clean sheet in that one. And hearing how the game went, it did feel like it was West Brom who were more likely going to score if any team were to. But Blackburn defended well. They managed to get the point in the end, and it does keep them within the top 6, but certainly they are not quite performing at the same level as I saw them at the start of the season, and it's giving me a little bit less confident that they will stay there. And this is quite a big game, because Watford were within the top 6. Their recent form has taken them out of it, but a win for Watford here will bring them right back into the mix. And as a prediction, I think I might go for a Watford win here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Watford win, because I do think their form at Vicarage Road does trounce their away form per se. And with Blackburn, their away form hasn't been the best. And for me, I could see Watford going to this game with a determination to try and mix it back within the top 6. So let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next, we've got 2 opposite ends of the Championship playing against each other. Burnley going up against QPR. It is second top versus second bottom in the Championship. And both of these sides couldn't have really had different starts even if they tried. Burnley still mixing it within the top, although they only drew against Hull City in midweek, and they were behind for a lot of that game. It took a bit of brilliance at the end by Zion Fleming getting his first Burnley goal to get the difference, or to even get a point across for this side. And whilst they did look the better side in the final couple of minutes when they did get that equaliser, it just took Burnley way too long to even get into the game, and ultimately Hull did a really good job on them for most of it. QPR, they managed to fight back against Coventry and got a draw in the end, and based on how they performed, it did look like that QPR did play in a way where they deserved at least a draw. And I did think that draw was a fair result. It was two very unconfident teams going up against each other here, but QPR here against Burnley, certainly that's not the team that they would want to be facing after probably their best performance in quite a few games now, QPR. So I do think this is going to be a tough one for them. But as a prediction, I don't particularly see Burnley blowing them away. They haven't done that, at all recently. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Burnley. So I think it will be one of those ones where QPR might be aiming for a 0-0, but I think Burnley will find a way to at least get one moment of quality. Let me know what you think, however, in the comments down below. Next up is Derby and Hull. Both of them drew in their last midweek game, with Derby drawing against Oxford, where, to be fair to them, they did really, really well to get back into the game. Oxford, when they took that really, really quick lead against Derby, it did have that feeling that Oxford could have kicked on and managed to get that win and continue wider, because Sam Stadium is proving to be a fortress this season. But Mendes Lang, fair play to him, he managed to get the equaliser goal for Derby. They did have moments where they maybe could have nicked it, but overall they did really, really well. And because they're doing really, really well, they're right around the middle section of the table. For a newly promoted side to not feel in danger yet, they've done well. Hull have certainly improved in their past couple of games or so. They got, I think, a really good point against Burnley, but in the circumstances when they took the lead and they conceded quite late on, they might have felt a little bit disappointed with the result, with the way that they played and the way that they did limit Burnley for a lot of that game. So, good point, but performance-wise, they'll be a little bit gutted that they didn't get more out of it. This game here, I could see being very, very close. Derby, of course, having a brilliant record at prior part this season. Hull have naturally been improving and have been doing really, really well to get a good, consistent run of games together. And as a prediction, I'm got a sneaky feeling it will end as a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. I probably would edge maybe Derby if I was picking one of them, but to be honest, I think they're so close. I'm just going to back a draw for me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Certainly another interesting encounter is Plymouth and Preston. This, I can't lie, I'm really struggling to predict this one. Plymouth have gone through back-to-back defeats, with both being away games, and have not scored a single goal in those two games either. However, they're back at home park, and we know for a lot of it, you go to home park, you're not going to get points against this Plymouth side, because they are notoriously good at home. And we've proven that, and we've seen evidence of that for Blackburn and Sunderland not to get any points at home park this season. So Plymouth have done a job against some really good sides. And Preston, for me, they have done really well recently. They've actually gone through their best run of games and results, actually, since Paul Heckingbottom has taken over currently. But they did have a bit of vulnerability in their last game when they went 2-0 up against Norwich. They did throw it away and it ended 2-2. So it was the first time in quite a while we were seeing some defensive vulnerability with this Preston side, where Paul Heckingbottom was trying to make this Preston side to be a lot tougher to break down. But I think the quality of Norwich and people like Borja Sainz was just going to impenetrate that eventually. Here, in this game, I'm struggling here because I think Preston, actually, their form, they are the favourites, but I cannot ignore the fact that Plymouth's form at home park has been sensational. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me, and it'd be very typical Championship, if Plymouth defy the odds and get the win here. And as a prediction, therefore, I'm going to be a bit brave, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Plymouth. I don't normally back Plymouth for a win. Sometimes I may do, but here, I just have a sneaky feeling that it might be Plymouth's day in this encounter here. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next up is Sheffield United going up against Stoke City. Both sides, again, with disappointing results in their midweek. Sheffield United, who have been the only unbeaten side in the league, they get posted with 2 difficult away games against Leeds and Middlesbrough. And what happens? They lose both of them. And I think this game against Middlesbrough, there was a slight improvement in the attacking sense, but it did sound like it was Middlesbrough who was dominating the play with the ball, and they earned their goal. So Chris Wilder probably will be scratching his head to thinking, you know, why is it now that Sheffield United can no longer win some games now? They ought to try and recover it when they face against a Stoke City side who have been rather inconsistent. They're sort of in the top cluster regarding the sides meandering around the relegation zone. So a couple of bad results later could pose trouble for Stoke currently, but they're just about holding on to, you know, those safety positions at the moment. They got a draw, of course, against Bristol City. Did look encouraging in the first half, but second half completely capitulated the result. Here, I don't see many goals in this game, to be quite honest with you. I'm wondering here that if this is going to be a typical game where we see Sheffield United sneak a goal, Stoke may rally forward, but Sheffield United prove their defensive solidity and get a result. I'm actually going to go for a 1-0 Sheffield United win because I see this game not containing many goals. Could be 0-0, but I'm going to go for a 1-0 Sheffield United win and they go back to winning ways. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next up is Sunderland versus Oxford. Is any team going to stop Sunderland this season? They are proving to defy the odds, and whilst maybe sometimes they've been a bit fortunate in quite a few of their games, Sunderland are still finding a way to get the result. What an impressive away win on their part to get 3 points at Kenilworth Road. It's a monumental achievement for this Sunderland side, and the manner that they did it, they did have the pressure when Luton equalised quite quickly, but then Mundell took almost an immediate lead. I mean, the mentality of this Sunderland side, I think, is what's setting them apart from the other sides. Oxford, they're going through 6 draws in a row, so an unbeaten run, but it's also a winless run, and I think this could be the stage where they lose that streak because Sunderland at home have been near perfect. Oxford away from home, whilst they have been improving and accruing the odd draw in their away form, I think this one's going to be tough. I'm going to say 2-1 Sunderland. If I was going to pick another result, it would have been a 1-1 draw, but I just have a sneaky feeling Sunderland might just be able to get enough out of it and they'll be able to pick up 3 points here. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. We're now encountering Swansea and Millwall, 2 teams around in the middle of the park in the Championship. I think certainly Millwall were a little bit below that standard, but their recent form has meant that they have now slowly but surely starting to climb back up the table to the position where I think they would be expecting to be. Now Swansea, when I did look into Swansea's form quite recently, whilst they have played some tough sides, their form is not really encouraging. They've not scored in their last 4 matches. Their last time they actually scored a goal was at home against Bristol City, which does feel like an eternity ago when they did get that goal. So 4 consecutive games in a row with no goals, and I think 2 of them have resulted in 0-0 draws. So they have picked up 2 points from that form, but to get no goals in that elongated period of time does tell me that there's something wrong at the moment. Or it could literally just be the forward line just not clicking, not being fully confident here. Millwall picked up a win against Plymouth, maybe a little bit fortunate because it did sound like Plymouth did pressurise Millwall, but they did get the 3 points in the end, and that's one thing that I've efficiently seen from Millwall, that they just get efficient results at home. They haven't really done that away from home, but the fact that Swansea aren't really blowing anyone away at the moment, I might just settle this with a 1-1 draw. I don't really see too much separating both sides. I probably would be edging a Swansea win if I were to pick another result, but here, as of what I'm feeling now, I think they'll equal each other out, and I think therefore it will result in a draw. Let me know what you think though in the comments down below. Our penultimate game this weekend sees West Brom going up against Cardiff City. So, in the form books, Cardiff are the favourites because Cardiff have just been picking up win after win, and they have been climbing up the table as a result of this. So, Cardiff are going through a mini rejuvenation within their season at the moment, so it's brilliant for them to do that. West Brom, on the other hand, are falling the other way. They are completely toppling down the table now, a bit similar to Watford actually, with how consistent both of them were, and now all of a sudden how inconsistent they both are, and as a result of that, they're both trembling down the table really. So they drew against Blackburn. Certainly by the chances they had, I think they should have won the game. But we've seen this often with West Brom where they do struggle to be clinical. They were effectively clinical in the first couple of games, but now suddenly they're going through a really tough patch. And that's one thing I did pick up in my last video. The bounce back ability from a bad result, West Brom, has typically been pretty poor. So when you lose a game, you don't immediately win the other one. I mean, one team who I think do that very well is a team like Plymouth, who, you know, may lose one game and then suddenly they pick off an impressive win out of nowhere. West Brom need to do that and not use one bad game to then lead to 4 other bad games. So they need to find something here. But as a prediction, honestly, with Cardiff, with their form and confidence, I think that might prevent West Brom winning this. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw again. I'm not quite brave enough to predict one of them to win because I could see either or of them winning, but as a result of me thinking that both of them could take it, I'm going to say no one will, and I'm going to go for a draw. But this one is quite open actually, so I'm quite excited to see the outcome of this one. Let me know what you think though in the comments. Our final game takes us to Carrow Road where Norwich face Middlesbrough. So we were talking about Coventry and Luton being a previous playoff final encounter. We see another playoff final. I mean, this one right now would be 9 years ago. That is crazy that it's been that long since that impressive final between Middlesbrough and Norwich, where it was effectively Norwich that went out on top in the end. In fact, maybe 10 years ago actually, because I think Middlesbrough, I like to say, got promoted the season after that. So I think that will be 10 years ago. That's crazy. But anyway, to this game, Norwich picked up a draw against Preston. Certainly disappointed with the first half, but again, we spoke about it with Bristol City already. Brilliant second half performance and a brilliant comeback on their part too. And I do think things are improving with Norwich. It's not quite the finished article away from home especially, but I am seeing them put a lot more goals through, and that's certainly going to make things tricky for Middlesbrough. Now the thing is with Middlesbrough, they have been so inconsistent. But what they have been consistently doing is that they have been creating so many chances, but just not taking them. That last game against Sheffield United, where they won by 1-0, was the rare moment where they actually took their chance and scored a goal from it. But you would argue with the chances they did have, they should be scoring more than 1 goal. They haven't really been blowing any teams away. So how long could they keep this up before they just grow ever more frustrated? Now, both Norwich and Middlesbrough are literally just below the playoff places. So if either one of them wins, it's a good chance that they will find themselves in the top 6 after this game week. So we give them a small psychological advantage going forward to the next one. As a prediction, again, I'm feeling a bit cowardly not predicting any wins in a lot of these games this week. But I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I see goals, but I don't necessarily know in what order or how they're going to be distributed. So I'm going to go just for a high-scoring madness 2-2 draw game, and we'll see if that happens. But probably I would say Norwich would be my pick if I was to pick one of them to win, just based on their home form. But let me know what you think, though, in the comments. And in a moment, that is how I'm going to wrap up this video today. Thank you guys for tuning in today, for listening to me babble on about my predictions. Please feel free to share your opinions and your predictions of the championship in the comments down below as well. I'm always getting excited reading your comments. But that'll wrap it up for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please smash the like button if you did go to enjoy. Please do hit the subscribe button too, and please share the channel too. All 3 of you things are really nice to do, and they really do help too. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for joining this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.